Alright, so we're back and our render for shot 3 has completed, so before we do anything else, let's take a look and see what the results were. So I'm quite liking how the audience is out of focus there, that's working quite nicely. Character is always in focus, so that's really good. Ooh, I'm liking that bleach out effect from the defocus. Only thing I'm not liking is the over brightness here, which we sorted out a little bit at the end of the last video, but maybe not quite as drastically as we needed to. So I mean, in the real world, we'd go away and tweak all our values, re-render those few frames, make sure that everything's looking perfect, and you guys know where to go and tweak those values, you know how to go ahead and do that. But for the sake of argument, we're going to move on and get shot 4 composited in this particular video. So I'm going to close out mplay. I'm going to jump up and I'm going to create a copy of our shot 3 network for shot 4, since shot 4 shares all of the same passes as shot 3, so the bulk of the work's already done for us. So I'm going to go ahead, Control C to copy this, Control V to paste, and jump up. And it's already named to shot 4 for us, so I'm going to jump down inside. And Houdini is currently thinking. There we go. Fantastic.
It's a bunch of data to cook.
Yeah, it's a lot of data to cook. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and get all of our passes set up to shot 4. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to set our frame range up for shot 4. So I'm going to jump and grab our shot 4 render description just to verify. So we were 613 to 650. So let's set our start frame to 613 up to 650. And I'm going to go ahead and set all of our passes over for shot 4. So we've got our diffuse sequence, so I'm going to jump up and grab shot 4, and this was for our floor, and that was our main spot's diffuse. I'm going to double click Control.
You want to just go through and change the number?
Yeah, we should be able to change the number. I had a few issues with that off camera, but yeah, we should just be able to go through and change the number. The way that we set up all of our naming meant that the only difference between these passes for shot 3 and shot 4 was the fact that they exist in a different folder. So we can go through, and where we've got the shot 3 folder in our name, we can go through and change that for shot 4. And everything in the viewport appears like that's working correctly, so that's fantastic. So let's do that on every single one of our passes. So shot 4, shot 4, shot 4, so that's our floor done. Let's jump over to our stadium and repeat. So diffuse sequence, shot 4. Yep, that's definitely for shot 4. So let's go through and change these over for shot 4 as quick as possible. You guys do have the fast forward button for occasions like this. Because all I'm doing is changing that shot 3 folder out for shot 4 on every one of our passes. And there are a few passes to do, so it's going to take a little while. But it's a lot quicker than having to go in and recreate everything from scratch again, I can assure you that. We need elevator music, dude, seriously.
Right about now? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Hey, that looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went too far. And let's grab our main spotlights for our audience. Jump on over for our set. And we want shot 4. And shot 4. And
start to see
secondary
shot 4 slowly coming in.
That's kind of cool. It's kind of like montage. That makes me think of Team America.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that montage song's awesome. And then character comp. So let's set that thing to shot 4. And shot 4. Shot 4. Our character's got a lot of passes.
Well, there's a lot of lights illuminating him.
Yep, there is. grab the fill, set that over to shot 4, and the bounce light over to shot 4. Fantastic. Now the great thing about grabbing all of those nodes from the previous network is the majority of the tweaks we made to these various assets in terms of intensity values should hopefully play out fairly well for us in this shot. Now you notice, and that's actually a perfect frame to demo this, our character is currently in front of our pool. Now this shot's worked out really nicely for us because one frame before the character enters the pool, we're way out and clear of the pool. On the next frame we're inside the pool, so we can actually go ahead, since our character never needs to go in front of our ladder or our diving board, we can actually go ahead and reorder the way the character feeds into this layer. Now in your situation you may find that you have a frame where the character is half into the pool and half out of the pool, so you may need to go ahead and set up your pool with the mask material just as we did with our ladder and re-render out that frame for the character passes. In our case, we've actually been very lucky here because our character's moving so quickly, we're either fully out of the pool and fully in the pool, and we can go ahead and set our character to be behind our set. In this case, to do that, we can jump down to our layer cop, and we can see that we've got our character is currently in front of our set. If we click on the up arrow for our character, the character is now behind our set. That still works out great for when he's in the air. So let's take a look at our lighting values for the entire scene and see how that works out for us. So I'm liking how that's working. I'm thinking the bounce light was maybe too strong.
It looked pretty strong.
But that could well be our secondary spotlights as well, so we'll tweak both of those values in a second. But other than the overabundance of red on our character there, the audience is looking really nice. We could maybe get away with bringing back in our spotlights on the set on that frame, whereas we basically lowered their intensity values when we're looking top down. This isn't getting bleached out anywhere near as bad. We could probably get away so we get the spotlights coming in for those last few frames, which would probably look kind of nice. So a few things I want to tweak. So let's first off go ahead and tweak the values for our main spotlights. So I'm going to find the frame where we're on an intensity of 1. And I'm going to go ahead and delete the channel, leaving it with a value of 1, and see how that looks when we come to have the main spotlights overlap into our pool. And it's still fairly bleached out, so let's kill their intensity down some. Not quite as drastically as before, but something like that works quite nicely. And we also wanted to see what that really strong red light on the underside of the character was. It's either going to be the character's the character's bounce light, or it could well be our secondary spotlights catching the character there. So let's see if it's the bounce. And indeed it is the bounce light, so we can go ahead and tweak that down. Since in shot 3 we never really see the character from an angle where the bounce light is apparent, we actually had the bounce light set up to an intensity of 1, but we just didn't notice. In this shot it's a lot more apparent. So yeah, with relatively little alterations, I'm really liking how that lighting's working out. So now we can come down and we can bring in our depth for shot 4 instead of for shot 3. So let's grab our depth, jump up to the shot 4 folder, into the depth folder, and grab our depth shot 4.$f. And if we bring our visibility down to the depth, switch over to PZ, we can see the depth for our shot. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to branch off of our rename and create a new depth of field cop. So I'm going to middle click, branch off, and create a new depth of field cop. So we can go ahead and get our depth of field set up for this shot. So again, we want to mask based on the alpha of our first input. And I'm going to move to the first frame, and I want to get a fairly strong depth of field so that we have our character in focus, so he'll be black so we do not defocus him, but the bottom of the ladder sort of out of focus, so going towards a mid to light grey. So let's just play around with our depth settings. So I'm going to see about increasing our depth scale, pulling our focus distance, maybe pushing our focus distance. Tweak our scale some more. Maybe a little too much there. Getting there. Something like that. Pull our focus distance forward 15. So now the focus is more up here, but I want to see if I can get more contrast in those values. maybe pull our focus back a tad. Just about hitting the character there. A little too much contrast. Something like that works out fairly nicely. We've got a small amount of focus will be blurring out here, but we have the character in focus, which is the most important thing. So I'm going to key that, all three of those values with Alt left click, and then I'm going to jump to the frame where our character enters the pool, because that's going to be where our camera motion ends. So step back a few frames until we see our character leave the pool, and then step forward a frame, and in this case we want our pool to be in focus since that's going to be where our character is. So I'm just going to tweak our values until the pool is in focus. So something like that we can see there, but I'm wanting to give less of a sharp fall off on that depth value. So something right around there probably will work out quite nicely. So now that we've got that depth of field set up, I'm going to delete out our existing depth of field and wire our new one into our defocus. And then let's come down to our defocus and look at our color and see how much we're blurring. So in this case, I do want to set that over to M, which possibly means we had that set wrong on shot 3. I'm going to go and double check in a second, but we do want to make sure that first input is set to M. So defocus of 30 is kind of strong. Let's see how that looks on earlier frames. That's working fairly nicely. So I do want to go and double check and see. No, it was set to M in this case. Somehow it got set over to color in our new scene, in our new shot. I guess maybe I scrolled the mouse wheel or something with it over there. Cool. So yeah, with that we can go ahead and get this guy rendered out. So we do want to set our frame range to 613 through to 650, so that's our range for this shot. And make sure that we specify a new file name or we'll override our earlier shots. I'm going to jump into shot 4 and create a new folder called final. Inside the final folder we'll create shot 03 underscore final comp.$f3.pic and accept that. And then we can go ahead and click on render to render this. We're going to do that off camera and we'll come back in the next video and take a look at the result. So thanks a lot everyone.